What is up, you guys? Glitchiz here, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing you my go-to acid farming guide. I'd like to go over pretty much all the different ways that you can get acid in the game and kind of rank them from least efficient to most efficient in that order. There's some really good ways to get acid for the late game, but it is a little bit random and a little bit of luck is involved. So for the people that aren't that lucky, I will show off some other methods that work really well. Acid, as I'm sure you guys know, is a prized commodity in the end game. You're going to want to stock up on it as much as you can. So hopefully this video helps a lot of you out. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. The first and least efficient way of farming acid, in my opinion, is just randomly killing enemies. All of the deviant enemies have a chance of dropping acid. If you're going that route, the two things that I would recommend doing for manual killing is either farming silos. My favorite go-to one is the closest one right near our base, which is the Securement Silo Theta. I just run to the secondary boss, killing everything that I can along the way. You run into probably 20 plus deviants up to that first boss, and then also have a chance of getting a lot of stardust as well from the secondary boss, and that averages around 20 to 30 ish acid per run. Especially if you go all the way to the end of the second boss. So that is a good option to do there. You can also start up these Blackfell oil fields extractions, the production facility extractions. Blackfell oil fields, in my opinion, is the best one in terms of grouping of deviants that spawn. You get a lot of them, so there's a lot of potential to get acid there, and it's a little bit higher, so they tend to drop a little bit more. It's also a great spot when you complete it to get premium fuel. If you didn't know, but a lot of deviants spawn throughout the Blackfell oil fields, so this is another great option if you want to manually farm them. If you are going the manual farming route, though, one thing I would highly recommend is hunt down the recipe for the deviated jerky, I believe it's called. Where is it here? The preserved deviated chops. This requires peppercorn, salt, and then any of the beast meats that you find, usually deviated beast, but I think you can do pretty much any other type. And the main reason why this one's so good is because it gives Hunter's Luck buff, which is killing enemies grants a plus 50% acid rate drop. So that 30 drops that you would get in a silo run might become 50 or 60. The 50 plus in a oil fields extraction might become closer to 100 in one run. So that is another really good consumable to craft if you're doing the manual route of farming acid. Definitely look into the preserved deviated chops. Really good food item that you should always have on you if you're exclusively just trying to farm acid by killing things. Really good food item there. So that is the least efficient, in my opinion. The second most efficient is through pumping water. So for those of you that don't know, if you go and build a base with the automated water pumps in a normal area, you'll probably, especially in the lower areas, just start sucking up dirty water. Or in my case, in these upper areas, I get crude oil. I don't even get water. But in areas like in the Chalk Peak, I actually had my base over here. In like this area, for example, is a great place to build a base, not just for polluted water, but for bears to get the meat for the deviated jerky there, as well as star trace ore. This is another great place to get star trace ore for stardust and whatnot. But the other big thing is it's a polluted zone. So if you build your base in a polluted zone near water, all of your water pumps will then extract polluted water, and that polluted water can be brewed and converted into acid as well. It takes quite a while, and you're going to need a bit of a setup, so I can go over that real quick. So what you would want to do first is outside of your base in a polluted zone. And you know it's polluted because the little meter on your backpack will start ticking a certain percentage. Some places are higher pollution than others. You can build your base near a monolith. Those are almost always going to be guaranteed to have a pollution radiation around it as well. If you don't want to be near a monolith and you want to have other resources available to you, this is a great place for farming acid. That is a polluted zone, not surrounded by enemies all the time. Really good spot that I would recommend. But as long as it's a polluted zone, your water pumps should start pulling in polluted water. And all you'd have to do is obviously get the memetics for a water pump. I believe it's under functional. You just build your water pump anywhere on the ground. Hold an Alt and middle mouse to raise it up and down. Once you build it and power it up, you can then feed those pumps. And if you want to do this efficiently, in my opinion, you're going to need at least like 6 water pumps because it does take quite a long time to convert this for this route. It is passive, so it's going to be a little bit better than if you're manually killing stuff and farming it, but it will use up a lot of power and does take time to run. So once you get 6 of the water pumps up, you would then run them to like your osmosis purifier. So let's head up here to the farm area so I can show that off. You would run it up here. That polluted water would then go to your osmosis water purifier. And once it runs through the osmosis water purifier, that polluted water, not dirty water, the polluted water from the purifier will then turn into an item called, right here, impure acid. So you get the impure acid from the polluted water through the osmosis purifier. And then what you can do is if you build a fermentation barrel in here with the use of purified water and the impure acid and purified water will output acid. So that is how we have a bunch of acid in these barrels, because I actually had my base in the place I just recommended, and that was our go-to method for farming acid until I got a new perk that I'll go over here in a minute. So this is, in my opinion, the second most efficient method for farming acid. This is an acid farm, they're calling it. There's plenty of other videos on YouTube that specifically go over this method. Again, if you want it to be efficient, you're going to need like at least 6 water pumps going to your osmosis purifier. And I like to run at least 6 of the barrels because it takes hours for these stacks to start filling up of acid. It takes a really long time. So the more of these that you build, the more quicker that you can pump this acid out using this method, and it will just go by a little bit faster. So what I did is I also had just a storage tank of purified water that just constantly drip fed that purified water into these barrels, so I never had to worry about it. And the one downside to the impure acid is you can't flow that through a pipe directly into the barrel. You do have to manually go to your osmosis purifier, pull it out, and then manually put it in the fermentation barrel. Hopefully down the road they fix that and it'll make it even more efficient, but right now unfortunately you do have to manually take it out and put it back in. But once it's in here, the fermentation process, that is automatic. Once you get the impure acid in here, that will fully convert without you having to touch it, and then you just pull the acid out when you're done and you're good to go. So really good acid farming method there. The last and final method that I want to go over that is by far the most efficient, unfortunately relies on a little bit of luck, and that requires a randomized cradle perk called Sulfur Alchemy. And basically what this does is the tooltip was wrong. I had the opportunity to get this within like the first 10 levels of perks, but I bypassed it because the tooltip, the Asian to English translation, was actually worded wrong, and the order of the words is wrong. It says slowly turn acid into sulfur using the synthesis bench, which according to this would be terrible. Who cares about sulfur? But what it actually does is it converts sulfur to acid, which is much better. And that is actually how it works. The tooltip is just written wrong for whatever reason. Hopefully they fix that, because that can be really confusing, and it, for me, wasted one of these rare reset controllers because of it. But yeah, so you can convert sulfur into acid using the synthesis bench. And if you guys just watched my previous build video, that is why you guys saw me having 3 of these advanced synthesis benches in the base instead of just 1. And that is because with that perk, you can now craft acid manually using just sulfur. And it only takes, I think, 50, what is it, 50 sulfur per, no, it's only 5. So it only takes 5 sulfur to make 1 acid, which is insane. So you can literally do 99 stacks and craft it up and have multiple. You can have each synthesis bench can have 2 instances running at the same time. So you can basically have 200 potential acid almost queued up and running. And as you can see, we're at 75 here already that I can pull out. we've got how much here? This has been running for a little bit. Full 99 stack will take 8+ hours, a little over 8 hours to fully convert to acid, but it's 100% passive. It requires only one machine, the synthesis bench, unlike the water pump method, which needs 6 water pumps, which takes a ton of power. You need 6 fermentation barrels. So it's both viable options, but this is much faster and much more efficient, and you can have tons of these going at the same time. Anytime I run low, I just throw in another 99 stack, and that's how we get hundreds and hundreds of acid. And again, I built 3 of these so I can have 6 stacks of this acid running at all times, just pumping out acid. So really, really efficient method. By far the fastest method in the game right now. But unfortunately, like I said, it does require a special randomized perk. You do get 10 of them by the time you reach max level. So hopefully across those 50 plus options or 40 plus options between randomized perks along the way, you see that and you're able to pick it. If you have a really bad RNG, you do once a week get one of those specialization reset tokens, so you can re-roll one of the perks that you may not want and hope that you get it that way, but that is unfortunately the only way to get it. But by far, again, the fastest farming way for acid right now. Really, really good there. So yeah, that is, in my opinion, the main go-to ways to get acid in the game right now. Again, just to quickly recap, we have the water pump method, second best. Requires a bit of setup, but it is 100% passive once you get it up and running. The randomized perk for converting sulfur to acid is the number 1. And then the first one, if you're just starting out and you need some acid, is to just manually hunt them. Do it by killing deviants in high deviant populated areas, especially in those extraction zones. And if you're doing it that method, make sure to grab the preserved deviated chops to give you plus 50% more drop rate, and that is the go-to food item to use for that method. So yeah, that is pretty much it, you guys. If you found this video informative and enjoyed it, be sure to smash that like button, comment down below. I appreciate all of you guys' feedback. If you have another video that you'd like me to make a demo on, feel free to mention it down in the comments, and if I think it's nice, I'll potentially make a video for it. But until the next one, hope everyone had a great day, and we'll see you all later.